to take the roof teleport. But if you want to have a little bit of fun, since it's not ready to go yet, get into the fast lane there, where Jim is. Just go through into that fast lane and take that fast lane highway up there. I think you'll probably enjoy it if you're experiencing VR. Here, I'll show you what I mean.
Okay.
Cool.
Just come on in here and go up, and then take the fast. You like that?
Oh,
Cool.
that was neat. Yeah.
Boom. Yeah, more fun than teleporting, right? You get so these 360 images of various street art, death themed works is what we did yesterday in our event. We had a group kind of walking
Right.
through here and looking at each one and talking about them, and we were in this world. So people will make their way here and. But feel free to just kind of walk through theirs on your own now if you weren't here yesterday. There's a little audio
No, I
intro to
couldn't make it.
each one. Yeah. So feel free to walk through. I'm sort of going to stay here to guide people. We got probably 5 minutes or so before we go up. So enjoy. And
I spent 5 minutes in the other instance. It's open,
Tom,
not
yeah.
knowing
is there
which one
any
was which.
is there
Welcome
any
to Death
moderator
Street
here at
Art,
the enter?
bringing a little
Any what?
death into everyday life.
Moderator.
Well, again, I thought they would be sending me
An
somewhere.
artist named Smug painted this in a suburb of Melbourne, Australia. What do you see?
Okay, Tom, this is how you're showing them. Cool.
It says, "Don't shoot," and refers to the police shooting of Michael Brown in 2014. Merchants of Death, Foreclosure, Balmy Alley, Mission District, San Francisco. When we go, we're taking you with us. We're in the Netherlands. What do you see in the mural?
And and by the way, so Paul and Nico and also tell Shushu, we're it
Yeah.
too. So it's going to
Yeah.
get to be really nice and informal. Daniel got
Yeah.
sick. And I don't know if Ryan's
Oh,
going to make it. So we can it's going to be fun and we can involve the audience more. Just
okay.
relax and we'll have a good time. I'll set the stage and we'll just have a nice, fun
All
talk.
right.
So, and bring people into it. It should be
Okay.
fun. But anyway, we'll let the next. Yeah, Paul, I got to tell you right now, I was so
Uh-huh.
carried away at your event, I
Yeah.
almost couldn't. I was not coherent. Yeah, the amount of Africa representation and power there just
Yes.
completely floored me,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I just couldn't even think straight. It was just
Yeah.
so wonderful.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I'm still so inspired by it. But anyway,
Okay. Yeah. All right.
and
Let me talk with the girls in the real world. Just a minute.
yeah.
You guys are good for the event, probably, Tom?
Yeah, people are we're starting to show up. Yeah, like some people for the panel, and so yeah, welcome Star Knight. You're here for the panel, and yeah, we got a couple minutes, and this kind of little street art exhibition. You can just look in that doorway and walk in. This is what we had an event about yesterday, where it's street art brought into VR. You feel like you're right there, on the
Interesting.
theme of mortality. So feel free to just step inside and check that out. And then we'll be gathering up on the roof. I'll kind of lead the way in just a few more minutes. But if you just want to check out some really neat views of things, to step through the doorway just
Okay,
like
okay,
this.
okay, okay. I look inside.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
360-degree.
That's
Kind of more curious about this artwork since there's so much over there as well. A lot of very interesting artwork, and I'm sure seems like Tom remade all of these. Oh. Huh. Oh. Wow. I didn't even know somebody did that. There we go. That's cool. Tel Aviv. Interesting. Oh. A lot of different artists.
Hey, welcome in. Are you here for Immersive Afterlife?
Yep.
Ah! Perfect. You're in the right spot.
Yeah, I was just talking to Tom earlier. I think we're heading up that way now, it looks like.
Sì, ma prima sono andata da altra parte. Eh.
Looks like people are getting lost. Hey, kitty. We're upstairs, I think. Hey, kitty. Pretty sure.
A graffiti outlaw sense, and street art itself is inherently ephemeral. They know it's going to go away. We found a way here in VR to give it a second life. And 5 Points itself, everything that you see there, all that big building was way out in the outer boroughs of New York. Hundreds of artists came through there for 15 years or more. Well, it was blown up. Talk about death. Talk about ephemeral. Buildings get blown up. Now there's under the same. Look at this monstrosity, of an overhead railroad that we're under here. That's still there. You can walk down the street and there's luxury condos and shopping in the place of that street art. So we're kind of in a symbolic place that was once full of a really vibrant kind of outlaw life that died. A lot more to say about that story, and who knows, maybe it'll come back. But the reason to start that way is that we aren't just talking about death like our physical bodies. The people who we know and love who are going to die, and ourselves. That's certainly something to talk about. But everything is impermanent. Some things are easy to let go of. The things we care about the most are the hardest to let go of. We know that the culture of death in the world that we're in right now has been changing. And we know that the metaphor of death, of the post-World War II consensus, Western civil, whatever, all that is right out there in the public discourse. I think VR is kind of in the lead. I think for a lot of reasons that we're going to talk about now, we can be in the lead of bringing along new ideas about acceptance, appreciation, going with the flow of death of all things. Maybe not though. There's not like it's heaven here. So we thought we had some more people, but we're going to be able to have everyone that we get here say what they want, and also bring hopefully the audience into it a little bit. Now that there's more people, I will just formally say my name is Tom Nickel. For those of you who don't know me, I've done mortality related things in VR and on a regular basis since April 2020. With my partner Ryan, who couldn't be here today because he's just giving birth with his or has given birth and isn't able to make it. But back
Wow.
then, when death was really in everybody's face because of the pandemic, we just said it would be good to have a place where people could come and just say how they're feeling. Just say it out loud. We weren't going to cure death anxiety. We're going to fix the place where you could just talk about death. Well, we're still doing that. So over 300 events of that, and then another 300 events of just being
Ma
able to
questi sono
come
gli
in
eventi di
evenings
May.
and
Oh, questo.
yeah, yeah, and talk about what we've lost, saying goodbye. That's a special role VR I think has to play of people from everywhere being able to come and just say, "Here's what I'm feeling about passing of something, death. Here's what I'm feeling about loss." But there's a lot more to it. We have world creators here who have built experiences and worlds about death. And we have someone from Africa who's become one of my closest friends, who both in VR and world, life is death is a big part of it. So why don't we just start by saying a few, make your intro, and we'll just go around off first call on Paul. Make your intro so someone will know something about you. But how does death and VR come into your life?
Yeah, like my brother Tom have said, I think we met actually in VR. This is where we met. We met in Allspace VR back in 2019, I believe, in Allspace. And then he was being a host of another show called Neighborhood News. And I came in, and the friendship evolved. And then he started hosting Death Q&A in 2020 around COVID time. And what happened is back in 2014, I had lost a sister. She died in my arms. And as a man in Africa, in rural Africa, there is no, we don't have the courtesy to show our emotions. I could say that, you are an African man. You show up and be a man and squeeze it all in, and you don't show emotions. And I thought that's okay. And that was back in 2014. I agree with it. This dear sister has died in my arms in the hospital. And I never at any time dealt with those emotions. And so when Tom held a special event for Death Q&A, I attended it knowing I'm just going to tell my story. That's it, how my sister died in my arms. But the fact that I wore the headset sort of removed me from my surrounding taboo.
Mm.
It was a place I could be without worrying about culture, about being a man. And I can't tell you how much I sobbed that day in front of the metaverse crowd that was there. But as I did that, I healed a wound that I'd carried since 2014. And you can imagine almost a decade later, I was able to handle that situation, in the metaverse. And so we meet every week. Tom keeps hosting the events every Tuesday. We are in VR chat. We are in a neighborhood around you, and we're able to deal with that. And that is how the whole VR and grief and death for me came to play. And I'm able to bring stories from my African community where I lead people in funeral arrangement, funeral committees, and we share that inside here. Suffice to say that everything is growing oh so well nicely, Tom. Yeah.
Wow, what a great start, man. I mean, that's both so personal and so vulnerable, but also everybody here, they can recognize something in that about how they have felt VR to allow them to open up in a certain way too. So, let's just take a breath on that for a minute. And this is just the introductions. And Shushu, back everyone here who goes back more than a couple years has experienced the death of a world. It's not just an academic thing for us. We cared about all space so much, and we did it. We a world died, and things happened as a result of it. New worlds were born. In that world, Shushu, who had never done VR before, made I think the most amazing evocation of the afterlife I've ever seen. What made you think that VR was the place to be working out your ideas about death?
Right. So I come from Krakow in Poland, the city of the Polish kings, where you feel it's one of the fewest cities in actually Eastern Europe that stayed as it was before World War One. So because it used to be a German occupation center and they couldn't bomb themselves, so it stayed so for hundreds of years. You can feel the atmosphere of generation. It's a very mystical place. And I'm there to create theater. And theater as a stage is the closest you can get to death because the theater is the other side. It's the other world, the other space. And when I came into VR, the first thing I noticed, I completely, I didn't know how to move. I remember that day when I didn't know how to behave, what to do. I didn't know anyone. But what I could see is other people, so-called avatars, running, searching the way somewhere as if they were lost. And the first thought that came into my mind is that, wait, I mean, avatars in the Indian culture is actually the spiritual parallel of our soul. It's like, and when they are wandering there, like wandering souls, I thought, I gotta make this world for wandering souls. And that's gonna be the afterlife.
Oof.
And there it was, and I created a completely empty world, full of darkness, with just a few light beams and some butterflies in that light beams. And you have to find your way. And the music was fantastic there, and it somehow delivered the metaphysical experience of this cyber world, this VR world, of all the avatars. That when they came in, when they opened the world, when avatars showed up, it looked like really like spirits, in the afterlife.
Sure did. Yeah, as you were just talking, I hope people were imagining just the own, if you can make visual images of what that first transition out of the body might be like. That was what was evoked there. And you know, he, Shushu was an experienced theatrical director on the physical stage, but could you have evoked it in that way in the physical stage? Do you think, or is that was a VR only thing?
For me, I come from the culture of the not the show business, but the spiritual theater, the place that treated the stage as a sacral space that deals with very deep truth and sometimes painful. So for me, the stage is a holy place, and there's nothing that can replace it. When I came into VR, my first question was, can this medium actually replace the stage? Can you actually achieve any metaphysical vibe in that cyber world? And I think that Afterlife was the first thing that actually proved that it's possible. And as long as I actually started to know more and more the options, the possibilities of VR, I now understand that VR can take theater to a deeper and higher levels. And it reminds me what Shakespeare said. Shakespeare wrote that all the world is a stage, right? We all know that. And we used to use the word VR world, right? So all that world for me is a stage. And in fact, for the theater, you don't really need a stage in the VR world because all the world is the stage.
Ooh. Well, that is just a really articulate layout of a lot of things about VR. And as I move over to Nico, what Nico's most known for is showing us in the whole entire cosmos, all the planets, being able to see everything everywhere. It makes us seem really small, but there's an incredible beauty to it. What do you think about life and death when you're making worlds on that scale?
The worlds I have, so there are the worlds itself. Like there's not a lot of life on it, like Exoplanet Journey, and I think people kind of like the quietness of everything there. Um, but the world itself, like working on it for so long, it got a life of itself. And I mean, we both found out, like, because like we are working, like me and Shushu are working on it for a long time. Also, the art we do here have to be kept alive all the time. um, like it has to be maintained, or it will just not work anymore. It will break over time. If a platform shuts down, like Altspace, it will die again. So we have to keep it all the time and resurrect it in a way. Like when we came from Altspace and it shut down, and we came to VR chat, had to resurrect all the content we made in here, and it's better than before, I guess. And then people really like it. Like in Altspace, this one scene I had flying over the planet. It was just a really dead planet. People still liked it. I know there were some meditations going on there. For example, Daniel really liked it. He's not here today, and yeah, it's part of a bigger project now, which also has some life. But I don't think like the life in there is actually important. People still like it.
I think people should know the motto you're using. Nika's using a special motto like with the magic. Can you repeat that?
that, that is on my profile. I mean, it's not my motto directly. It's a quote from Arthur C. Clarke. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Yes.
It just
You can
means
see
like if people, I mean, it's like what magic is, right? It's an illusion. People don't understand it, so they think it's magic. And like using all these technologies we have now, combining all these factors to something people, how does it work? Like how is it possible to do this? It's kind of a magic of itself, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you feel kind of like a god because you've been able to make worlds so powerfully?
I mean, like some people call me the shader god, but I'm not sure if I would subscribe to that. But um, no, I wouldn't say god, but I mean, like maybe in the future, like everyone will be kind of a god, like in their own small universe created in some kind of simulation, right? Like it's kind of like we are starting here. Like if you put AI to it, like in even like 20, 30, 40 years in the future, like it will be easier for many people, and it will be live somehow, I
Yeah.
guess.
Mm, mm.
And that's what you just brought to it about how what we build here, we also have to nurture. It becomes a living thing also, and we take on a responsibility
and
if we care
it's
about
and
it.
it's very vulnerable right now. Like even VR chat could just say tomorrow, "Oh, yeah, we're running out of money, we will shut down, and then we'll have to go somewhere else again. If
Oh
we are
my
not, as
God.
creators, not allowed, if we are not alive anymore, like everything we do here will die with us. Like there will be no one else to maintain it.
We have we have experienced that, the death of the platform,
Mhm.
as Tom mentioned, and that was one of the most painful days. Like, imagine you
Yeah.
build your whole community around you with events, with
Mhm.
like a dream of life to have your own theater or your own artworks, and then one day, boom, it shuts down, and you
Mhm.
stand there with all your friends and count the seconds when
Mhm.
they shut it down. Then you count down.
Yeah.
It just shut down. I cried a lot there.
And
Mhm.
I'm sure a significant percentage of the people here did. But let's take this to a new place. We really, what happened there was something that is inevitable. Things pass. But think about how we processed it. Just what you said there. We made the death a social event, that we were there with the people that we most cared about and experienced that place with. We still talk about it now and tell stories about it. There's groups of former alt space people who get together. In a way, you could say that the way alt space passed and the way people who were into it have processed that grief is a model of how it should go, which is kind of where I'd like to take this discussion ultimately. Is that, when you talk about the culture of death changing, it's just about acceptance of inevitable processes, and a lot of those inevitable processes bring up a lot of collateral damage too, and there's a lot of suffering that can happen there. But how can we lead the way in showing people how we can care about things, we can build them, we can nurture them, we know they're going to die, we're going to mourn them. What are some of your thoughts on that, Paul?
It's just like the modern world where even when we are in our real world, the neighbor has been taught to don't care about the neighbor. Don't give a damn about your neighbor. And the doors have remained shut. But VR is opening the door. We are here now. Everyone is sitting in their own home, but we spawn in an environment that we have joined in from all our corners of wherever we are from, and we have joined in. We have reopened the so-called doors. The community is growing again, and so it doesn't matter whether which platform it may be or what sort of world we build. The fact that we are opening those doors, we are remaining online, we are remaining accessible, make the fields and the prayers will come. Here they are.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting strategic here. I said this before. We were really lucky that the pandemic was a world mega disruption that didn't take down the power grid. If it had been volcanoes, we wouldn't have had VR. But because
Yeah.
germs don't take down the power grid, we had hockey stick growth for a while, and I was able to meet Paul and Shushu and Nico, and we all got that first sense of a community. We were like shown this vision, and then they got taken away from us. Now what do you do? Now what do you do? What are you doing now, Shushu? I know it's a tough question. Suffer dying for you and your life too. You take it anywhere you want to.
Yeah, I mean, your question was actually, the previous question was related to something that I would say call the secret of life. When we lose something, then you proceed. You lose people, you lose friends, you lose somebody close, you lose your theater, whatever it is. You lose your house. And then life continues, and after a while, you find yourself in a different place. People seem to forget that all the life we have is, if we compare it to the existence of this universe, is a 1 milliliter of a millimeter of a millimeter of a second. And we always think, oh, I wait until there's new technology so we can live longer, like 300 years. I can assure you that if it exists now and you would have 300 years, you would still want 500. There is absolutely no difference between, also when it comes to love, when people fall in love and they're together and then they break up, it doesn't really matter if you are experiencing something for 10 years, for 5 years, for 1 year. It doesn't really matter as long as you understand that every single moment is your life is a treasure and you experience it fully, then nothing can harm you. It's okay to lose something. It's okay, you can continue. It hurts, it's painful, but that's part of life. Don't forget that fact that if you are able to experience all your life in 1 second and stand now and say, wow, I'm alive now, I'm strong, I'm healthy, I'm okay, then I'm sure you will be also able to confront death. That moment where we're all afraid of that will come, which is probably the biggest drama in our life.
Well, there's a lot of drama in life in general that has to do with death. I mean, for some people, the death of jobs, the death of possibilities of a life they once thought they were going to have, that might even be worse than the death of their physical body, for all I know. The death of their cognitive competence that they wouldn't even know is happening. So a lot of death has many faces, of course, and I continue to, I was certainly influenced by McLuhan, who said it's all about the medium, and we've been talking throughout this conference about what are the special things about this medium, the sense of shared presence that we have, the sense of being able to, like Paul said, to be able to open up in a way that maybe was not so easy in the physical environment, and to me, what is the, he says, a bicycle extends your leg, a pair of glasses extends your eyes. What does VR extend? Well, it extends the ability that each of us has to create our little piece of that consensual world that we share. Our heads are headsets. We all know that. We're all in a headset, and we've shared this consensus reality. And VR externalizes that, gets us to see things the way they really are. And that's why I think that the toughest things, acceptance and even appreciation of loss of things that we were used to, things that we care about. I take the end of alt space as a rehearsal for that, a simulation for us. And like I say, I congratulate a lot of people for how that's going. What do you think about all the big changes happening in the world, Paul, and how VR can help us get through those?
You know,
Is that what you're doing with?
towards the end of the Africa VR Campus and Centers event that was about an hour ago, I said that the real United Nations is failing. There is more war. It was all a lie. They never did anything to reducing the hunger or all the wars the wars are increasing. And so this is my United Nations. In a nutshell, this is our United Nations. This is where we can reimagine what ethics we can instill as a humanity, as a herd, as a group, as people who have the same end goals, the same visions, the same mission. We are democratizing this space, opening it up for anybody who, of self-mind, of one mind. And that to me is a success, considering that I'm not in a major city in the world. I'm just in a village. I'm struggling to speak English. It's not my first language. But the fact that we are here, we are together, and we are sharing stories, I think, Tom, that is a structure which we can base the next generation to come, which is probably even going to be the next United Nations, the next, what can we be as a people, as a human?
Oh, let's just hope they don't bring wars into VR. You're gonna get different platforms,
They
different
can't.
states,
The,
and they're
and,
gonna
and the
get.
reason why they will not be able to, like I said, is because we are creating right now the ethics. I mean, look at it. There is no war here, and this is it. This is the basis of what we can create on.
So let's ask
Our
Nico about that.
humanity.
Nico,
There's no.
when kids come to Exoplanet Journey, what do?
That's actually really different. Like some kids are just grabbing some pens, walking around, writing something into the air, which could be anything, but I think you can kind of guess what they are doing. Um, some
Do
just stand
they
there.
explore
Some
the?
just yeah.
Do they
Some
explore?
explore. Some fly around. It's I mean it's pretty different. Like for every kid, like how they use the space. It might also like what the other people are doing right now, right? Like some people sometimes they have like some videos on about space or something else, and they're just. I mean, sometimes it's like interesting how some kids react to the content. Like some are actually really getting really quiet sometimes when they see it, which is unusual for kids in VR. I mean, you kind of expect these kids that are really just hyperactive all the time and just want to play something, but if they actually quiet down for a moment, actually look at something, actually enjoying the experience, it can also
And
happen.
I'm going to steal that from Nico and say this, if you allow me, Tom. Is one of the words that Nico and Shushu have created is the overview effect. And we brought in our kids from Africa to experience it. And what you're saying there, Nico, is true. These girls, when the world opens, you are doing the overview effect. So it rises you from the ground all the way to space. And when they removed their headsets, they were hiding the fact that they were actually crying behind the headsets, seeing the world in such a fragile state. They have never seen the planet that way. They have never done it as a voice of a septuagenarian American who loves space, talks in the background. They've never had that. And so to you, it was shaders or unity. To us, it was social impact at its best.
So let's just breathe on that for a second. and this has everything to do with death and rebirth. Nico, I think, is one of the leading educators of the 21st century. He's not famous. Nobody knows him. He's probably struggling to get by. He doesn't have a PhD, but what he's made is what we all know education should be. He's made a world where kids can be on their own without adult supervision. They can be awe-inspired. They can be bored. They can do dirty pictures with their. They can do what kids do, which is what they're supposed to do. And this is what education in our dreams would be like. And by in you observing the variety of things they do, every educator in the world should be coming to you and saying, tell us, how we should be thinking about our educational materials. And then Paul being a teacher, Paul's using your stuff as a prop,
Yeah.
uh, and, and,
Mhm.
and, and, and and knows how to create that experience. So it's that's the part that gives me hope. Certainly, let's get the other parts of the other folks in the audience in here too, because the real thing that we all got to figure out is if we can bring together people from all over with different perspectives and listen to each other, and we can make the world a big exploratory learning experience. Why aren't we doing it like right now? How come we've only done that once, Paul? And how do we how does VR
Yeah.
stop being this like niche thing that people wonder about? Why didn't
Mm.
VR ever live up to its full potential? Instead, why aren't we leading the world? Feel free to, and what we can do to get it back into the lead. So raise your avatar hands or make a noise if you want to jump in, and or otherwise I'll just call on Shushu because I could listen to Shushu talk for a long time. But what's come up for you since you're listening to Paul there, Shushu, about the overview effect in kids and
I just imagine all these important things, huge projects that we've been creating together in VR, all our achievements, these awards and everything. And I'm going to say something personal now. It's related to, losing something and then continue as you see how it develops. I'm in a point in life that I'm losing almost everything. The flat that I like so much, the comfort zone. And I'm gonna become a nomad, a digital nomad, in a caravan. And I had this choice, like how to look at it. I'm gonna say on call. I'm miserable, and it's gonna be tough, and I'm gonna search for a smaller room, something more cheap, and somehow survive the cold winter in Eastern Europe. Or I'm gonna make something crazy. I'm gonna make my VR mobile lab. And I'm gonna just drive around the world and continue making beautiful things. And you'll find me someday somewhere in the beach of Portugal, sitting in a caravan selling VR real estate. That's gonna be funny. And so it's just a way to overcome things that happens unexpectedly in life and look at it in a positive way and make some kind of an adventure out of it. And because you mentioned that overview and it just came into my mind all these beautiful things, and then what is the meaning of all that? Sometimes we wonder. Yeah.
we can just breathe on that one for a little bit too. Everything that is themed death, also just without saying, is themed something new, rebirth. It's a transition. Those transitions are the scariest things. Every transition that we've gone through when we left junior high into high school, people have heard me say that one before. How can I possibly? But and the thing about the afterlife that you made in VR is there's you know, holy books and there's secular books, near death experience books that really kind of characterize what death might be like, what that very first step of our some kind of a low density spirit self leaving our body. And most people describe it the way you drew that thing there. So I think just like we can maybe simulate death and be able to bring the inevitable end of our lives, but other things too, easier here in VR. Maybe what you're saying, Paul, in a way we can simulate new ways of organizing socially. Um, uh, Older people working with younger people. we just got to keep doing it, and they come to us. Is that how it goes, or?
It is, and one of the guys who are in the crowd is very very nice, and I know in reality he could be very very nice. And what he did is when I met him in Bantavia, he was volunteering to teach our students how to create in Unity, and just by the virtue of being there together, and sharing something together, very very nice. Uh, can you come in and talk a little bit about that and what you're doing, building in the metaverse?
Who are you talking to?
Very very nice. He's
Yeah,
over
feel
there.
free. Yeah, feel free if you'd like to. Go ahead. Yeah, I'd love other people to chime in too. Go ahead.
And even just before he comes in, I get this guy who is building Minecraft sort of worlds, sandbox things, and we just started talking, and all of a sudden we are opening a very huge screen, and he is running about Africa VR Campus and Center, and that's how we grew all of this. But other than that, and carrying on what Shushu was saying, is the value of saying goodbye as human. One of the things that is very hard to do is actually to let go. It's hard to let go of our kids when they grow and we no longer have to hold their hands as they stumble, as they learn how to walk, and then they go to primary schools, and then we have to go. We struggle to watch them go to college. That one day that they go out of the house, we know it is inevitable. We know that this is an inevitable growth. Just like even now, we know it was inevitable that we met in that space and now it had to change. But for me, going through the things that you have created with Nico, the teleportalium, the journey, the beginning and the end, we know if you take that journey, the teleportalium, you have to go to the end and see the feeders and go to the midnight scene there. It is inevitable. But the appreciation of the moment, the right now, where we are existing and what we are doing right now, to me is actually what matters most. It's what counts. What did we do today?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm not sure if you're going to jump in or anyone else, but it all comes together. I mean, I'm in my late 70s now, and I'd never done any kind of counseling or mental health or any of that kind of stuff work before I started this saying goodbye, as Paul brings up. But what I realize more than anything I've learned over these years is how all of us are holding on to grief, lots of it. And no matter how much you've even let out in a healthy way, there's still more because it doesn't stop. So that's just one of those things that we need each other for, to stay on top of our grief processing. And I just can't think of a better place to do it than VR because of all the reasons that you talked about it before. So that's one way I think that we are demonstrating a new way out of the old dead ways where if you didn't have the right health plan, you didn't have the right thing, then and you couldn't get some professional to help you, then you just got to suck it up or whatever it is. But this is something different, and it, and we're all the same in it. That's the most amazing thing. Of course, no one said the obvious piece that we all of us within about 1 picosecond in the physical world, our brain makes judgments about each other, about how seriously we're going to take and what categories we fit into, and boy and girl and old and young and all that stuff. Our brain does it, but in VR we can't. The part of our brain that instantly categorizes before our conscious mind even gets there is shut down in VR. And I think it makes our brain go, WTF? Well, I guess I'll just have to listen. I guess I'll just have to listen because I can't categorize the way I'm used to. And this is an underappreciated part of VR, and it's I think part of my great hope. So anyway, that's a little bit of a thing on loss. I'd love to. We're got a little bit more time left, and if people in the crowd want to chime in on their thoughts about how VR can carry us out of death into life, chime in. Yeah, go ahead. Only is that there? Yeah, go ahead. You're on.
Oh,
Come up
thank
here
you.
so we can be sure to hear you. Come right up here. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Hi, Shushu. Hi, Nico. Hi,
Hello.
everyone. So
Hey.
yeah, so thank you so much for sharing your deep thoughts about life and death. What you guys just said really, how to say, reminded me of something that I have been thinking about for a long time. I think it's correct to say that Nico is both Nico and Shushu, you guys created lots of things that could really shape the future of education and stuff. But on the other hand, because we're talking about death, so I thought the biggest impact that your previous works, really made me realize is you guys or all the VR developers over here, we are trying to bring the death of physical space and to our virtual reality because we all realized how fragile the physical space, the reality could be. It could be affected by a war, it could be affected by a pandemic, it could be affected our physical world, our personal physical world could be affected by the loss of some of your loved ones, but all of these things that could have a huge impact in your personal life, the vanish of these physical elements, these physical factors, could totally be pointless, be meaningless in in the virtual world. So, for example, like in the solar system that Nico and Shushu created, the limitation of physics or the limitation of your the insignificance of your physical existence doesn't mean anything. You can be as big as a planet, and you can stick your head into the Saturn or something that you could never do in real world. I was thinking, because I'm also getting old, I'm thinking about how to preserve the memories that we cherish so much. And I was recently looking into Gaussian splatting, and I realized that this is probably one of the many ways, but probably like one of the most high fidelity ways to actually preserve some of your memories, some of your past that might, how to say, just vanish and never come back. So, I realized that, oh, if I could keep a virtual copy of the home that I grew up with, or the home that where I got my daughter, that would be priceless. But now, since everything is already lost, it's really difficult to capture that. But what I realized is, with all the technology, with the 3D photos, VR 180 photos, with 360 cameras, with all these captures, it's actually much, much easier than before to literally just permanently store a section of your past, your memory, into this space and then just leave it on the cloud. And then one day after you're gone, and maybe your daughter can come back to this space and she'll realize, oh, this is how my dad looked at me when I was 8. And yeah, so this kind of experience will never be will never be outdated, to preserve a small segment of our history, our past.
And
So
yeah,
I think, yeah, I think
and
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Nico.
yeah, I just wanted to add, like, the technology we're getting now, especially AI, will also make it easier to preserve like older, like it doesn't have to be a Gaussian scan of your room. It can be an old photo, basically. And combining that photo, like a bit of data, just give it a bit of data, give it a bit of context, and it might even recreate that environment for you that you, and then you're just giving a photo into it. Maybe a photo of a person, and you just
Yeah.
say what kind of person it was. Maybe you have data from social media or something, and you will kind of
Yeah.
even kind of revive that person in that photo. I mean, like the possibilities are there already. I already saw many tools where you just input a photo, I mean, you can make videos of it, but I also saw examples where it's actually suddenly a three-dimensional space where you can go into. And that will just continue over the next years.
So here, my proposal on that, and we had to, when we were talking as a panel, it was tough. Thanks for bringing up so many great things that we didn't get to. There's so many fronts. You took us into the future, and we know there's going to be a future in which not only preserving those things that we care about now, like you bring up, but having avatars of ourselves to, language models of Tom Nichols speaking to my grandkids. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe we'll take that one on at Immersive X 2026 will be the future of death. We'll kind of call it. But yeah, for right now, I think we're in the moment of death. I think we're in a big transition time, for society, for the world, and it's something that we as individuals all have to go through too. There's something that VR can teach us about getting through the time that we're in right now, and if it does, I think we're going to have more fun in that future where there's multiple avatar Toms and ways to save all of our stuff and all that kind of stuff. I sure want to get there. That's what I want. What do you got for some final thoughts here as we wrap it up, Shushu?
It's okay.
I
I was
mean,
saying that your body
yeah, I
is,
mean,
is,
of
is
course,
raising
of course,
the hand.
sorry?
The body is raising their hand.
Is it
Okay,
okay?
okay, let's hear from Theo. Go ahead, Theo.
Yeah, let's go with you.
So I'd like
Hello.
I'd like to say there was just immense care, the action and passion of carrying the consciousness of the awareness of death. I think there's something very, very deep into this kind of conversation, because so much of like what you were saying, Shu, about, or what Tom was saying about what we do next, and that is the frame of understanding our death, our awareness with death, because it is like you said, has many masks, many forms, and to understand it also has impermanence. We are never going to frame the conceptualization of all of this. It always has to be in a constant moving understanding way that can allow our awareness and consciousness to carry through a transformation that will allow the spaces for humanity to grow deeper into our eternity of belonging into the synchronization of technology and magic that allows such a rich form of education, of unity and community, because as well as we can't do it alone. We as a species act connected through that understanding, through that truth. And it is always important to recognize so much is not we understand, but what we do further, and what we do regardless, and what we do always for each other.
Say it, man. Chris, you're just preaching it. That's just beautiful. Thanks for that. Thanks for just wrapping it right out there. That's like VR wrap for today. You got your hand up. I can't quite see your name there, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yes.
You won. Yeah.
I want just to share a little thought about what happened to me when I started using VR 4 months ago. I was practicing before VR, lucid dreams, and when I entered VR, it was something like that. And I think that it was kind of a privilege being in this moment. In VR, and experiencing a connection more deep at the subconscious communication between all of us, and being able to talk about these things so open here in VR. So I think that's a privilege, and we should use that connection with the subconscious, and being able here, being able to talk about this. I think that this is great. Yeah.
That's very smart, because VR actually teaches us to use other senses, to we don't see each other's faces exactly as we look like. We don't judge ourselves by our look. We don't know too much about ourselves. We listen to the voice. We take so much from the voice. That's probably the biggest thing. The way you speak, the way you express your emotion, that thing that goes in VR, and it automatically creates a much emotional, spiritual connection between people.
Yeah.
And if
You know,
we use that potential, we can go higher. I just, by the way, sorry, experienced the cyber death. I lost the connection. And then I thought,
Me too earlier.
oh my God, that's it? That's it?
but yeah.
It ends? Probably that's the way it happens.
Well, no, but
Just one second.
that's what I mean by VR as a rehearsal. Everybody here has had the experience of being in this amazing moment of VR. Someone is about to say something incredibly important to you, and blam, it all goes. And the first time that happened to you, you thought it was death. You went, "Oh my God!" And your heart starts beating fast and all that stuff. After it happens about 6 times or go, you go, "Oh yeah, it's a VR thing, man. I'll be back in about 37 seconds, right?" And I've been like presenting in front of tons of people in VR, and that's happened to me. I just go, da, da, da. Okay, anyway, here's where I was. And it's not only that I've learned to accept that kind of thing, the audience has. Oh, don't worry, we'll be back. It's just VR, right? That's a beautiful thing. That's part of the rehearsal, I think. And I'll add to it, there's been lots of studies beyond, into where you were starting to take us, where if you get people physically together and they're doing different things, watching different movies, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If they're in physical proximity, their bodies start to get into kind of a synchronous resonance. All their body systems start to sync up because you can imagine that vibrations, micro vibrations being transmitted through the atmosphere. But here, we're not able to do that. We're in different parts of the world. But anyone who's ever been in a group in VR, anyone who's ever meditated in a group of VR knows that same group effect happens. And how can that happen? It can't happen because of micro motions of our physical body. It has to happen through attention. The phenomenon of attention, whatever that is, that's what we have all brought to this place and shared. And somehow in that attention, and the voice conveys, is the best conveyor of attention that we got. But you're right. There's a synergetic effect that happens there, and that's part of what we're learning here about how small groups of people can get into a certain kind of sync and make certain kinds of social relations and help each other. That's what's going to get us
There's
through. Yeah.
there's only one thing that worries me when I look about
Only one.
all that in related to your question, like what's next? How can we, get more in control and to what's next in the future of the metaverse? And when I look that so many new platforms appear and they all try to do it their own way, and communities that we were used to know in the past and to be together in one platform, they all want to make their own app, my own app, my own app, my own app. And what you see is like you're getting stars and more and more and more and more and more stars in that galaxy separated from each other. And I think that's a mistake. I think they all should understand the potential of being together and coming up together. They will have much more resources and everything to choose one place and to hit from that place.
Very well said. Very well. Apps are things that keep us in silos to be able to be manipulated. And we're on an app in here right now, but the more we can be in situations where we're just out in a general open space and we can just run into people that we never would have run into any other way. It was like the same app. I'm with you. I wish apps had never happened. I actually wish mobile phones had never happened. And so people say, "Oh, you're an old fogey." Well, I might be an old fogey, but I'm making Unity worlds and VR. So I pick my medium. I think mobile phones in a way isolate us in that same kind of way. But anyway, there's a lot of good things about mobile phones too. But anyway, how about you, Paul, for some final words from you on?
In
today?
the traditional Kikuyu, which the tribe I'm from, in central Kenya, when one dies, they go to the ancestral world, the spiritual ancestral world, and join their ancestors. And if they were good in this real life, their ancestors treat them well. And the name of that ancestral spiritual world or spiritual realm is called Gomi, which means the place of those who are resting. And it's a sort of a view or an overview when you wear a virtual reality and appear here. I mean, look at Nico and myself. We are little aliens, in a strange land, surrounded by other aliens. And I do with 1,000% believed on what the body said there. It is the acceptance. It is the hugging of what can be achieved. More so, not when you are alone, but when you build it together as men, as humankind, as
So,
women, as as victors,
so
yeah, together.
are you saying we are already in the afterlife?
We are, in a sort of way, we are, because we have achieved new bodies. We are sort of, it's a cocktail of our thoughts, a cocktail of our own conscience when we come here and share our thoughts and our minds in a common language. Not English, though, in a common language that we all understand. And trust me, it's not English. There's a deeper language that's happening right now. We understand what each of us is saying. And that's the most important thing. That's bigger than English. That's bigger than the physical world that we are in. And that to me is the essence of the wisdom that we are gaining from this sort of interaction.
I see your hand there, Elena. Go ahead.
Yeah. Do I need to come up to be heard?
Yeah, you're good. Fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was just thinking, like, just the term the afterlife. I mean, we understand what that means, but it's also the before life and the same life, and
Yeah.
because it's our human concept of time that's limiting us. And like you were saying or someone was saying about lucid dreaming, and I had dreams of when I woke up, I was just like floating. It's like, oh, I think that's heaven. I think that's heaven. And it was stuff that didn't exist in my world yet. And years after that, new age music came to be, and I was like, wait, that
Yeah.
that was in my dream. And fractal design came to be. It was like that was my dream. And then in the headset, there's meditation apps where I'm surrounded by fractals and the music. I'm like that. That's it. That's what I saw. But did I see the future? Did I see the past? It has nothing to do with time. So that's my thoughts on afterlife or not.
Yeah. We could call it in between lives. Maybe let's call it in between lives. How about that from now on?
Or
Vanish
just
after.
different dimensions at the same time.
Yeah.
Elena Beth is right. I mean, it also refers to what Paul just said, about joining the ancestors in some other reality, other life. When we think different cultures, Christians or other, that we go to heaven and so on, why did they think like this? That there's something over there, not here, something there. Okay, my father died, so he's going to meet my mother who died and his mother in heaven, and they're going to be happy there because they didn't have VR. Now, when you have VR, you could actually create this heaven, make a replica of the father with the mother, let them go there, and you can just join the war and join them. They will be AI characters in VR, and you can just have a walk with your ancestor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the Catholic Church was selling indulgences that fast tracked you to heaven, and they would have busted your scheme. But anyway, anyway, we're obviously breaking into loose speculation here, but we're over the time. But I don't know if that matters at this point. If anyone else is just impelled to come up and share something about life and death and VR, feel free. Now's the time. Love to hear from you. Stefan. Yes, I talked to. Is that the Stefan I was talking to earlier? No, different Stefan, maybe. Okay. Well, but maybe I'll call the formal part of our session over. We don't have to leave. There's a lot to play around with here, but I'll thank Wayaki and Nico and Shushu. I'm sorry that two other colleagues weren't able to join us, but that happens, and we were able to make it really freewheeling with just four of us. So I think that there's such a need to be able to talk this way, talk about stuff like this. It's not that easy to do in the physical world. So we'll just keep opening up more and more spaces to keep talking this way and building what we want to do, build the new worlds we want to be building. So thanks all for coming. Don't go away. In case I got to say one more little thing. Favorite this world. Come back here sometime you want. made this primarily to be able to have this panel and then to show the 6 little street art death things that you saw down on the ground floor. But there's another thing here too. 5 Points itself, like I said, is a great death story. I'm into storytelling. As Thomas Sorbach said, it's all about storytelling. And there's new ways we can tell stories here. And you'll see, come back here sometime or do it now. There's a sign that says "To the 5 Points Death Story." It's right over there. I've made it invisible now. I learned how to make things invisible. Now I overdo it. And but anyway, I'll get the right balance at some time. But you go over there, and it'll take you over to that roof. You can see a TV set on that roof now. And that's an interview when they're just about to blow up the 5 Points place. And you go over there, and it tells you to stand here and jump up, and you'll jump up into some 360 images that show the various. Here's 5 Points at its height. Oh, now here's 5 Points whitewash. Now here's 5 Points blown up, kind of thing. So I'm experimenting with how you could tell that story, and so feel free to come back and check it out sometime. Just a little death on death story. So thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So lovely. Thank you, Tom. Thank you,
Thank
Shu.
you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Nico.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful event. Thank you.